All right, welcome back to Talking Ball with Pat Leonard. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. This is our Thanksgiving episode where we reflect on week 12 of the NFL schedule with Super Bowl champion, former NFL wide receiver Benny Fowler. But we also preview the Turkey Day games and we talk about what we are thankful for from our favorite Thanksgiving NFL football memories to outstanding performances in the current league. First, I want to tell you about MyBookie. MyBookie rolling out the red carpet for sports bettors. And I don't know what you're waiting for because I went 3-0 undefeated on my Pats picks in week 12. We're going to give out picks now for this week. You have to check all my social media, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, Threads, even on Twitter or X at PLeonardNYDN. I will have all of my picks for you, as well as my Giants props and sprinkles for the Thanksgiving game. But there's also some deals you need to know about with MyBookie. There's a Thanksgiving risk-free boost. So MyBookie is boosting the odds that Devon Achane, the Dolphins running back, is going to score the first touchdown in that game against the Green Bay Packers. If the bet hits, you win. If it doesn't, they refund the wager. Max bet there is $25. No harm to just play that and have some fun on Thanksgiving night when you're full with all that food. Also, a Thanksgiving Telegram pool. Join the pool that grows with every sign up. So subscribe to MyBookie's Telegram channel before Sunday, December 1st, to guarantee your share of $15,000 plus in free play. All subscribers will share in that free play pool. Also, of course, most importantly, go to the link in my social media profiles, make your first deposit and sign up with MyBookie, and you'll get a 100% match on your first deposit of $50 or more, all the way up to $1,000, plus a $10 casino chip. So that means as a first-time depositor, if you put $1,000 in the account, MyBookie is giving you a free $1,000 extra to spend as you bet sports, football, underdogs, overs, and unders. MyBookie, bet anytime, anything, anywhere. Also brought to you here by Boom Chaga Mushroom Super Drink, a natural extract loaded with anti-inflammatory, immune-boosting antioxidants, and heart-healthy compounds. You can easily pour this natural liquid supplement into any of your favorite drinks. I put mine in my coffee every morning and immediately feel the difference. I personally have felt a post-workout like energy boost with Boom. Chaga also has the ability to lower cholesterol, reduce inflammation, and improve immune and heart health with its beta-glucans and antioxidants. Go to boomchaga.com today. Place your first order with the code TalkinBall25 and access it through the QR code on your screen if you don't want to type in the code, and you'll get 25% off your first subscribe and save order. Right now, that means a month's supply costs you only $30. Start feeling the difference today at boomchaga.com. And brought to you by Estate 98 Coffee, a specialty coffee concentrate, perfect for when you want to make a quick cup of coffee and skip the lines. It takes me less than 10 seconds to make a delicious Estate 98 iced or hot coffee. It's great as a mixer for espresso martinis, and each bottle can make up to 16 cups. Go to estate98.com/talkingball to get an exclusive offer for 80% off your first order. And now here on the Believe Network and on the Talking Ball with Pat Leonard podcast, this is First Down with Benny Fowler, Thanksgiving edition. All right. Welcome back to Talking Ball with Pat Leonard on the Believe Network. It's First Down with Benny Fowler. It's the Thanksgiving episode here. Super Bowl 50 champion, former NFL wide receiver. Benny, happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. How you doing?
Happy Thanksgiving, Pat. Doing good. Really appreciate it. You know, it's always it's fun to talk about this. The NFL is such a week-to-week league, and things are always constantly changing. So it's good to be here. Good to talk some Thanksgiving football.
No doubt. On that topic, I wanted to talk right off the bat about our favorite Thanksgiving NFL or football memories. It could be a game you played in when you were younger on Thanksgiving. It could be a game you watched. I know mine, as far as watching NFL Thanksgiving football, obviously Barry Sanders is entwined in it all, but the team that I always think about and romanticize when it comes to this time of year, Benny, is the 1998 Minnesota Vikings. And it was 46-36. I have to admit, I didn't remember all the stats of it. I did have to look it up.
Yeah.
But Randall Cunningham, Randy Moss, Chris Carter, Robert Smith. This offense was so fun to watch. It felt like Randall Cunningham when I was a kid. I was in 8th grade then. It felt like Randall Cunningham threw the ball 500 yards in the air every time he launched it up to Randy Moss. And in that game, I looked it up today, 46-36 over the Cowboys at Texas Stadium on November 26th, 1998. Randall Cunningham, 359, 4 TDs, 1 interception. Chris Carter, 7 catches, 135 and a TD. Randy Moss, 3 catches, 163 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
Legendary stats.
And Leroy Horde with 2 TDs, while Emmitt Smith had 3 on the other end. But that Vikings team, man, I loved watching them. It was like greatest show on turf stuff before we saw the Rams come into play. And, you're sitting there with a full belly after Thanksgiving dinner and watching that. I mean, it doesn't get better than that, but wondering if you have any great Thanksgiving football memories.
I do have some good Thanksgiving football memories, and shout out to my dad right here for always taking my brother and myself to Detroit Lions games pretty much all the way up until I left high school. That was a Fowler tradition. So shout out to my dad, spending father-son time with my brother and myself, taking us to the Detroit Lions and watching them play on Thanksgiving. It was totally different back then. The Lions weren't as good as they are now. I know Detroit is going to be rocking on Thursday against the Bears. It's a divisional game, Thanksgiving Day game. The Lions always have the first game. So that's what I remember about my Thanksgiving and my football memories. And then you go home, you eat, and then you watch the rest of the game. So I love the fact that, football is played on Thanksgiving Day, and then it's 3 separate games. You can watch each game and you can enjoy each game.
Are you a ham guy or a turkey guy?
Oh, turkey and ham. Honey baked ham. Shout out to Honey Baked Ham in Detroit, Michigan.
Whoa.
Just an incredible ham. So yeah, that's what we do. So turkey and ham though. I'm not, I like both.
Yeah, same here. I prefer the ham, but I eat both. I eat everything. I put everything on the plate and kind of mix it up. I'm a wild man like that.
100%.
It's funny, Benny, that I did not do this intentionally, but it's funny that I was just talking about the Minnesota Vikings because about 5 minutes before you and I just went on air to do this podcast, Daniel Jones, the news breaks, will be signing with the Minnesota Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be signing with Kevin O'Connell to back up Sam Darnold. Darnold, I know, a little banged up right now, but obviously with Nick Mullins, they have the need there. And I don't know about you. I think this is an amazing fit for Daniel. I thought it was the place he might end up in the first place because it's a great combination of playoff contender, backup quarterback need, potential to play, and a coach who might be able to revitalize his career. Let's start on the Daniel topic with what you think of him signing there and what that could mean for the immediate future, just for the rest of this season for Daniel Jones and the Vikings.
The way I see the signing with Daniel and him signing to New York is him really getting into an offense where they use the play action, they use the play action rollout, and now he's working with Kevin O'Connell, somebody who helped Sam Darnold resurge his career, an offense that really kind of Daniel hasn't played in. It's an offense that's on time, that's on rhythm, and somebody who knows how to work with different types of quarterbacks. Kevin O'Connell, I believed he worked with Kirk Cousins before.
Mm-hmm.
He just has that tree, comes from the McVay tree, and really understands that offense, which that offense is always built and based off of the running game. So I think Daniel really picked a great spot. Like you said, Nick Mullins is there. Sam Darnold is a little bit injured, but now there's no pressure on Daniel. It's now for the next 7 weeks, Daniel goes there, and you really go to learn. Number one, they're 9-2, I believe the Vikings are. You can be in a winning culture, in a winning environment, and in a winning building. So now you can actually see the difference because you haven't really had that in New York. You had it 1 year, but the Vikings have been pretty consistent since Kevin O'Connell has been there in his first few years. So you'll get to see what that environment is like. You'll also get to see the dynamic of Sam Darnold or Justin Jefferson in this type of offense, all of the weapons that they have from TJ Hawkinson to Jalen Naylor to Justin Jefferson and Aaron Jones. So you'll look at a complete roster now. Daniel will have a chance to see a complete roster, what this really looks like. And then now it's time to go work on your fundamentals and your skills. You don't have any pressure. Go be the scout team quarterback with Nick Mullins and work on your fundamentals and be a part of a winning team.
It's funny. He's actually signing with the team that he beat in the playoffs in 2022, right? I'd set some NFL records there. And that was the game that earned him the contract that the Giants then tried to escape. Benny, to go back a little bit, because this all happened after, I believe, we last recorded. But what did you think of the Giants' handling of the shutdown of Daniel Jones and then his eventual request for release? How did you process how they handled that with Daniel and how they moved on and proceeded into and through that Buccaneers game?
You know what? When I think about how they handled it with Daniel, it's no different than when I was there in 2018 and 2019. This is an organization I have a tremendous amount of respect for the owners, the mayor, and the Tisch family. But this is also the same organization that signed Odell Beckham to a $95 million contract, and then the GM said we didn't sign Odell to trade him, and then they traded him. And just based off of business and the way you do things, Odell was the most exciting player in the league at the time when they traded him, and they traded him to Cleveland. And the New York hasn't been the same since. From a marketability standpoint, all the jersey sales just wasn't the same. Then you see everything that happens on Hard Knocks. You get a different GM that does it in a different way, but you watch it on Hard Knocks the way that he has that conversation with Saquon Barkley, and hey, Saquon, are you going to give me a call and give me a chance? And it's like Saquon's like, what are you talking about? Signs with the division team and now is in the front runner for MVP. So the way they handled the Daniel Jones situation, no, I'm not surprised at all. And this is the same organization that also kind of booted Eli out on his last year. And that's just not how you treat somebody who's won 2 Super Bowls for you. So it's actually not a surprise in terms of how this organization is, how they treated Daniel in this situation. Never really gave him a chance. Look, I consider myself a good player, but Daniel's rookie year, I'm one of the starting receivers, and I know my role. I'm a receiver 3. I'm a receiver 4, not a 1. And they didn't surround him with the talent they needed to surround him with. So now you're in this situation. They haven't been great at picking head coaches either. So that's why they're in this situation. And right now they're kind of a laughing stock.
Yeah, and along with that, I wanted to ask you how jarring could it be for a locker room and for a team, and how dirty of a dynamic or messy of a dynamic does it create when a coaching staff and a GM, not only do they bench and shut down their starter, then they skip over Drew Lock, the number 2, for Tommy DeVito, the number 3. I honestly, Benny, I genuinely do not remember another time when that has happened in the NFL. Like, I don't know how to officially go back and look at that. So what I mean is passing over the number 2 before he has started a game to go to the number 3. Just wondering, when you're a player in that locker room, or if you're Drew Lock, I sensed covering the team a lot of discomfort, a lot of frustration, kind of ripping up the integrity of the depth chart is the way that I saw it. And I feel like some guys saw it, but wondering what you think. You have such good perspective on it.
I think the Giants are playing for draft position now, and Tommy DeVito gives them the best chance to be a higher draft pick. Look at how they played on Sunday versus Tampa. And everybody's talking about he went 3-3 last year, 7-1. Those stats don't transfer over. Stats don't transfer over year to year, and so it doesn't happen. So if you sign Drew Lock to a 1-year deal because of how he played in Seattle last year, and you believe that he gave you the best chance if Daniel wasn't playing, and then you don't play him, that just signals to your locker room that we're giving up and we are trying to get the number 1 pick.
Man, so you think they're tanking?
100%.
Woo! And as well as I do that that's the last thing John Mara ever wants to hear said out loud. But that was my lead coming out of that Buccaneers game. I said, if this isn't tanking, it sure looks like it is.
100%. Right? Yeah, they're going for top draft pick, new coaching staff. They need a new coaching staff and a new GM now. So,
right.
Question is, do you get on that now and then you start interviewing now? But who knows what they'll do.
Right. What a mess. I mean, and we'll get into it a little bit later about talking about these Thanksgiving games and kind of the stakes. But yeah, a lot of dysfunction here in New York, keeps getting worse, but people can't look away. The Giants are leading the national morning shows for all of the wrong reasons. That brings me to, of course, we do shout outs every week. You could call it the give thanks portion of this Thanksgiving episode, but shout outs, of course. Benny, I wanted to start with an overreaching concept and then get into some of the specifics, but I wanted to tie together. Some of mine included Jameis Winston, Baker Mayfield, And another one was some of these guys on the Ravens offensive line, like Falele, Rosengarten. The reason I'm tying all of them together is I wanted to ask you, how contagious is toughness and enthusiasm on the field? Because I see Baker Mayfield taunting Tommy DeVito and the Giants with that celebration. I see Jameis Winston looking like he relishes playing in the snow, barreling into the end zone, leaping and diving and taking massive hits and screaming from the top of his lungs how much he's grateful for playing. And I'm looking at the Ravens offensive linemen knocking guys down, burying them, making sure they don't get up. And you can see the snarl in their faces as they're walking back to the huddle. It just jumps out to me that a lot of the shout outs and the players that I'm giving thanks for this week to me are guys with just another level of intensity, effort, and enthusiasm. And I want to know from your vantage point how contagious that is for a player, and if you see the same things that I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think we are now into the part of the season where it's really football season. It's cold, it's snowing, your body's beat up, and do you really love football? And all those people that you just shouted out, all those position groups that you just shouted out, those are football players. They love it, relishing in, being tough, resilient, regardless of their record, especially with the Browns, regardless of the record, just playing incredibly hard and doing what they love to do. So yeah, I think it is contagious when you think about that. You see Jameis dive over one person and dive into the end zone and get hit and score when the snow is coming down. I mean, how can you not? It's like growing up in the backyard and just playing football. So it's awesome to see. Baltimore's offensive line is unreal. I mean, just even just the way the Harbaugh's coach, that was just a great game and tough nose, up front, gritty type of game. But yeah, it's incredible to see.
No, that's a really good point about the Harbaughs. Like, I love the Chargers are so funny. They'll go 4 wide or trips, and then the next play they'll take all the receivers off the field and go jumbo, 3 tight ends. Some third string running back you never heard of is going around the edge for 7. It's like it's bully ball. And by the way, and I know you probably have shout outs, but just when you mentioned that game, Lamar Jackson, like there were some throws he made in that game, Benny, that like Bateman dropped that touchdown in the end zone that kind of got knocked out of his hand at the last minute. He was throwing like 40-yard strikes on a rope, like hitting the bullseye on a dartboard with the football from 45, 50 yards away in this game.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say anymore, but sorry, I'm taking up all the shout
No,
out
you're
and give
good.
thanks time. Please, the floor is yours.
Man, my shout outs. Well, number one would be, again, it's like every week now, but Saquon Barkley. I mean, 300 yards on the ground, 300 total yards, 255 rushing yards. But if you look at some of the behind the scenes, the film, and him talking to the offensive line and him thanking the offensive line, like, that's my first 200-yard game. And then A.J. Brown saying, you're the best player in the world right now. He's like one step at a time. But people now get a chance to actually see his skill because of the line up front, the offense that they're running, and then his home run making ability. Incredible to see the cuts and the stops on the dime. And then other shout out would go to Lamar Jackson, still just playing incredible football right now. Not turning the ball over, complimentary football from the pocket, using his legs. And then, he has the run to the sideline to score and then does the little stop that he did in high school, that clip that made him viral, and he does it in the NFL. He's one of those players that, sometimes it still looks like he's playing in Little League, even though these are grown men out here chasing him. Lamar Jackson is one of those players that still makes it look like he's in Little League. There's people that just can't keep up with him, makes people look silly. So those are my 2 shout outs, Saquon and Lamar. And I think those are the 2 top, along with Josh Allen. Those are my 3 MVP candidates right now. But I'd have to give it to Saquon because every week these are home run plays, jumping over people. It's incredible to see.
We need some national respect for Benny Fowler for, first of all, I think it was week 1, telling the world Penn State that Saquon Barkley is going to have Penn State-like numbers for the
100%.
Eagles this season. And then we were about a month or at least 3 weeks ahead of the entire country and NFL world and telling people, not that Saquon was having a great year. Wow, look what he's doing. He's embarrassing the Giants. we had him in our top 3 MVP 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
He was last week before the Rams game. I said, I think he might actually be number 1. You said he's right there, 1, 2, right? So shout out to Benny Fowler. I mean, come on. You told the world that this was because Benny, the truth is even the biggest critic of the Giants decision and even the biggest Saquon Barkley fan could not have imagined this going as well and as ridiculously bad, on the Eagles and Giants side as it has. I do feel like, though, you're one of the few people who from the beginning was just calling it like you saw it.
Well, I just know with Saquon, I've been around him. I played with him for 2 years, so I know how athletic he is. I know we saw certain runs like that with a shitty offensive line. So you give him a way better offensive line. I mean, the sky is the limit for this guy. So
yeah,
it's incredible to see.
It really is. That the 270-yard plus touchdowns in the same game. Potentially, he's on pace to potentially break the rushing record. And my goodness, what it would be like if he won the MVP award. Not to mention, like I said, it makes me think of, man, if Saquon could leave the Giants and do this, what is Daniel going to look like in a year after being coached by Kevin O'Connell? Not the same level of player or talent or physical ability.
I think Daniel's situation in Minnesota is totally different. I don't think he's going to go there. I don't think he will be the starter next year. I think this is like a resurgence year.
Yeah.
He's with Minnesota the next 7 weeks. Minnesota's going to do everything in their power to have JJ McCarthy ready just because he's their first round pick from last year. And then Daniel's going to help support him, be that veteran presence in terms of how to prepare and how to do things the right way, and just having a veteran presence in the locker room just in case JJ McCarthy gets hurt again. But I don't think Daniel's going there to start at all.
Yeah, no, right, for sure. That brings up an interesting question. You and I at the beginning of the year were talking about what do they do with Darnold, with JJ McCarthy, and Darnold playing the way he is. Now you bring Daniel in for these final 7 weeks or whatever it is, plus playoff run. And let's say the contract ends up being, he's just signing through the end of the year, and then he's heading back to free agency, right? So the Vikings could get a compensatory pick in that sense by letting Daniel walk, sign somewhere else, and they could tag Darnold and then have Darnold and JJ still there as the room. Or they could, if they like what they see from Daniel developing and they don't want to give Darnold that level of money, they could then end up with a cheaper quarterback room with JJ as the starter and Daniel as the affordable backup. Which one of those scenarios would you prefer?
Depends on how JJ is progressing with his rehab.
Yeah.
If he's progressing with his rehab well and it looks like he's going to be on track to be ready for training camp and start, then you go with the cheaper quarterback room. If the rehab isn't going well, and I know he had a second surgery, then you sign Darnold to a 2-year deal.
Right. Yeah, no, that's sensible for sure. I have a shout out kind of in a random direction, but I wanted to shout out and give thanks for new Bears offensive coordinator Thomas Brown. They call him TB. He is from the Sean McVay coaching tree. He was the running backs coach and assistant head coach for the Rams under McVay. Was with the Panthers, I believe. Now is with the Chicago Bears. And firing Luke Getsy, bringing up Thomas Brown these last 2 weeks. Shout out as well to Caleb Williams and what he and Brown have been able to do together, because they lose this game in overtime to Minnesota, Benny. But Caleb Williams, 342 touchdowns in the 30-27 overtime loss. And listening to DJ Moore and listening to Caleb Williams talk about what's happening. I mean, DJ Moore flat out said, like, this is the offense we were hoping to get the whole time. Yeah. And I think, listen, it's only a couple weeks. The Bears should not get ahead of themselves here and, go crazy. Like, if Eberflus gets fired, do you just promote Thomas Brown to head coach or, all these things? And, I think just pump the brakes, take a breath, and let's just say, shout out to Brown and Caleb Williams for making this an NFL offense, giving the Bears a chance to win every week now, even though they're still losing, and also making the number 1 overall pick remind us why he was that. You agree with that?
Kind of. I mean, you still lost both weeks. So you can say whatever you want in terms of the numbers that you guys are putting up and that they're putting up. But
Mm.
At the end of the day, things still aren't getting done. It was never a question of Caleb Williams' talent. He can still throw the football, and he's made some plays over the last couple of weeks, and it is great to see him play better, but you still lost. So what are we really talking about? I think everybody's just getting their stats, and now it's like, okay, this is a better way to lose instead of not scoring any points. We're still losing, but we're scoring points now. Like that isn't. I don't get it. So I think
That's
it's
fair.
I
That's
think it's
fair.
just but it's good for Caleb to see more passes completed. DJ Moore's getting the ball more, and they're putting more points up on the board. I understand that, but you're still losing. So it's not like, oh, hey, like let's go out and have 500 yards of offense, and then even though we lose, it's okay because we still move the ball. Just win the
No,
game.
I like that. I can see it, like, as I'm rattling off all these positive things about the Bears, you got your eyebrow raised. You're like, didn't they lose the game?
Yeah, they
That's so
lost.
funny. Yeah. It's a bottom line business. You're right, Benny. All right. So speaking of the Bears, let's go and preview these Thanksgiving games. Um, Lions, Bears, Cowboys, Giants, Packers, Dolphins. Let's start with the Lions, Bears. Do you think the Bears keep it close? Lions are 10-point favorites. We can call this a sponsored segment with my bookie. The Lions obviously been rolling people. They scored 52 twice. I think they've had 47 once or twice. Do you think the Lions blow them out? Or do you think the Bears give them a game?
I think the Bears give them a game, and and I say that because you're playing on Thanksgiving. It's national televised game. I think the Bears will be ready to play. You're not going to go out there and get embarrassed. And the Bears have some players. They got some talent. And they can get after the quarterback. They got great defensive backs. They can get after the passer. And you're just not going to get embarrassed on Thanksgiving. I would be ready for some trick plays. I would be ready for Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson to pull out some happy Thanksgiving type of plays
It's a
for the
great
crowd
question.
and for the national television audience. So something with alignment or some trickery. I would be ready for all of that. But I see Detroit pulling it out. At home, they're rolling. They're playing well. So I see them winning.
Yeah, I agree. Lions win. Bears, though, cover the spread. Shout out to your dad for all those Detroit Lions games
Yeah, absolutely.
growing up. Those are some cool memories. Barry Sanders, the GOAT.
Yeah,
Honestly, Benny, to this day,
Johnny
one of
Morton,
my wow,
Herman
yeah,
Moore,
yeah,
Scott
Scott Mitchell,
Mitchell.
one of my one of the biggest deals of my career still to this day and probably forever will be just meeting and interviewing Barry Sanders. Like, I just I couldn't revere an athlete anymore from both the talent standpoint and just, your jaw hit the floor, but also the way he carried himself on the field was always obviously to me the right way to do it if I ever got the opportunity.
Yeah,
Let's see. Cowboys -3.5 against the Giants. I know the Cowboys aren't very good.
they're
Consider
better
the
than the
Giants
Giants.
only being 3.5 underdogs. I mean, I'm not sure where that's coming from, but Cooper Rush versus either, as you and I talk, either Tommy DeVito or Drew Lock. Let me ask you it this way. If Drew Lock plays and it's Lock versus Cooper Rush, does that dramatically change the dynamic for the Giants in this game as far as trying to not just cover but win?
No, I think the Giants are done and they don't want to win. And is this like what kind of move is this if Drew Lock plays? Tommy DeVito just got one start, so you really thought that you could go out there and win with him. Why would you not put him back out there? So if
Well,
you're undermining Drew and it's
Mhm.
just to put him out there because you want to make him feel better or you don't want to, I don't see where that would go. But Cowboys impressive win against Washington last week. So, they got some talent out there. CD Lamb obviously is still playing. Turbin, insane speed. So the Cowboys are just more talented in this game, and I would see them trying to embarrass New York tomorrow.
No doubt. In fact, Micah Parsons is pretty good friends with Saquon, and you've seen he's been mocking the Giants on Twitter. Also, the Giants passed on Micah Parsons in the draft. So I'm expecting him. When you say try to embarrass the Giants, I'm expecting it to start with him. And not to get too far into the weeds, but Here's the situation, Betty. I'm sure you're not following all the ins and outs of this ridiculous circus that's going on, hour by hour. But the Giants did not list DeVito in the injury report on Monday, so he got pummeled by the Buccaneers on Sunday, including they're down 30-7 in the final minute, and Daboll's throwing the ball, dropping him back, and getting him smoked because they're trying to make the final score look better.
Yeah.
And he doesn't show up on the injury report on Monday. Then on Tuesday, we walk into the facility. We go into the Daboll press conference on the patio outside next to the fields in the back. And Daboll announces that DeVito's right forearm is sore. His throwing arm is sore. And so he's going to be limited, and he's not 100% going to start on Thursday. We then go into the locker room, and DeVito says, well, it's not just my arm. It's my whole body. My neck's stiff. I'm basically sore all over. And so it's just a circus act.
Yeah.
But so that's the excuse that they're using. But obviously it appears that they came up with it on Tuesday and not Monday, because DeVito's been banged up the whole time. So anyway, that's a window into my world.
Misery loves company.
Well said. And then to finish it off, Packers -3 at home against the Miami Dolphins. It is going to be, I believe, in the 20s for this game, if not lower, Benny. Do you like Tua?
You're not going you're not hiding in 75 and sunny and then going to 20 degrees at Lambeau and you're going to win. No chance.
You didn't even give me the chance to give Tua his flowers for the 300 yards or 4 touchdowns in a victory over the pathetic New England Patriots. You don't even want to hear it. It's all about.
I think Tua is incredible when it's warm. Like going to play in Lambeau is in 20 degrees at night. That's not he doesn't play well in those type of games. So
yeah, I completely agree. It's funny. My picks for my bookie this week, I'm picking all these Thanksgiving games as well as the Pats picks, and my picks align exactly with yours. Bears to cover, Cowboys to cover, Packers to cover, and then Lions, Cowboys, Packers to win. Benny, let's close it out. Quick power rankings. Mine is Lions 1, Eagles 2. Now I'm giving them a chance here to earn that and confirm that, because they're playing the Baltimore Ravens in a few days. So, jumping the Chiefs, I know, is a big deal because the Chiefs are 10-1, but the Chiefs just look to me like a team that's hanging on. They're not impressing me. So I go Lions, Eagles, Chiefs number 3, Bills a close 4. And then I know I've had the Steelers in there last couple of weeks. It's not just because they lost to the Browns, but watching the Ravens more, I got to put them back in. I know you've been telling me, like, stop taking them out of the top 5, Pat. They're a top 5 team, but I'm making them 5. So where do you go with the power rankings?
I got Lions at 1. I got Bills at 2, Kansas City 3, Philly 4, Baltimore 5.
All right. Yeah, Buffalo is playing great ball just because they had a bye. I guess that, maybe it slipped for me that they belong as high as they do. But I got to admit, the entertainment factor of watching the Eagles with Barkley playing like that, the combination of that and then Fangio's defense has just been better every week for sure. I mean, there's young players on it, so that's probably part of it. New system but the Eagles, I'm trying to remember, like, teams usually don't look like flawed and obviously not contender teams in week 2. And then by week 8, it's like, wow, this is a pretty well-rounded team.
Yeah.
But that seems to be what they look like. But I like your power rankings as well.
Nice. Yeah, we'll see, man. It's Bill Belichick said something interesting the other day where he was just like, you just kind of got to get into the dance. And the teams that are playing well, the teams that are playing well at the end of the season, like the last couple of weeks, are the teams that you have to be worried about. Like, you can say that Kansas City isn't looking good, but if they look really great the last 2 weeks of the season, they can go all the way. And he referenced Eli Manning's Super Bowl teams. It's like they barely got in. They were playing well at the right time, and then they won 4 straight. So
interesting. He's right. No, that's we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. The idea of, like, the Broncos. I mean, the Cardinals just kind of fell down, but the teams that are playing the best at the end, right? It's not just the best teams and with the best records. It's also, like you said, and like Belichick said, who at the end of the season is ascending, right? Yeah. And to me, that folds into those guys who love football, right? It's when the weather gets cold, they like getting hit. They like hitting people and putting them on the ground, right? So this has been a fun episode, Benny.
Appreciate
Thanks.
you,
Yeah, thank you so much for for everything, for all your insight this season. I'm really excited about where this is going, and have a happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
Hey, same to you, man. Appreciate you.
That was another awesome episode with Benny Fowler here on the Talking Ball with Pat Leonard podcast on the Believe Network. Remember, we are sponsored by MyBookie. Use that Thanksgiving risk-free boost for the Devon A-Chain first touchdown on Dolphins Packers on Thanksgiving. Risk-free. You can't lose. If it loses, they refund the wager, max $25. And subscribe to MyBookie's Telegram channel, the Thanksgiving Telegram pool, before December 1st to guarantee your share of $15,000 plus in free play. Use the promo code PATSPICKS at the link in my bio and my social media profiles to get a 100% match on your first deposit of $50 or more, all the way up to $1,000, a free $1,000 in your account, plus a $10 casino chip. Boom Chaga Mushroom Super Drink, a natural extract loaded with anti-inflammatory, immune-boosting antioxidants and heart-healthy compounds. Go to boomchaga.com today to place your first order. Use that discount code, TalkingBall25, or the QR code on your screen. I get 25% off your first subscribe and save order. Right now, that means a month supply costs you only $30. Has the ability to lower cholesterol, reduce inflammation, and improve immune and heart health with its beta-glucans and antioxidants. And brought to you by Estate 98 Coffee. Specialty coffee concentrate, perfect when you want to make a quick cup. Skip the lines. Takes 10 seconds to make, hot or cold. It's delicious. It's great as a mixer for espresso martinis. And each bottle can make up to 16 cups. Go to estate98.com/Talking Ball to get an exclusive offer for 80% off your first order. See you next time on Talking Ball with Pat Leonard. That'll be the Talking Ball live postgame episode from AT&T Stadium after Giants Cowboys.